All right, today we're going to dive into one of the Buddha's most fundamental teachings. It's really a powerful guide on what it truly means to inherit a legacy.
This single sentence is really the heart of it all. The Buddha was urging his followers to become heirs not of, physical objects or worldly comforts, but of the Dhamma, the truth, the path, the teaching itself.
So this brings up a pretty profound question, one that kind of challenges our modern values, right? Why is an inheritance of wisdom seen as so much more valuable than all the material wealth you could imagine? Let's unpack that.
Okay, so let's start by really understanding what the Buddha meant when he talked about his legacy. And just to be clear, this isn't about giving up the world, but it's about finding what truly matters within it.
And this distinction is everything. See, an heir of material things gets possessions, which, let's be honest, are temporary and can lead to all sorts of attachment. But an heir of the Dhamma, well, they receive the path to liberation, and that's a timeless internal treasure.
So how do we even begin this journey? Well, the path starts with a really practical first step, and it's beautifully illustrated by a story from the scriptures. So picture this. The Buddha tests two of his monks. After a meal, there's some leftover food, and both monks get offered some. Now this simple offer, it becomes a profound test of their inner practice.
And here's the first monk's reaction. He is suffering from extreme hunger. He's really feeling it. Yet, he chooses to refuse the food. He endures that discomfort for the sake of his practice. He's literally prioritizing his spiritual discipline over immediate physical relief.
And the result? The Buddha singles out this monk for the absolute highest praise. And look, this wasn't about asceticism just for its own sake. It was about demonstrating a really powerful inner quality, the freedom from being controlled by physical desire.
And this story just brilliantly illustrates the core virtues we need to cultivate.
Desiring little, finding contentment with what we have, living simply. It's a timeless idea we see echoed today in things like minimalism, right? It's a conscious choice to focus on what matters over what we own. It's about being diligent in our practice. This, right here, is the foundation of becoming a true heir.
Okay, so this practice of contentment, it builds right into the next step. After the Buddha's teaching, his chief disciple, the wise Sariputta, he elaborated on another essential practice, learning the art of true solitude. Sariputta makes it crystal clear. Solitude isn't just about being physically alone. No way. True transformative solitude is an internal state that's only possible after we've done the hard work of cleaning up our own minds.
This lays out the inner battlefield perfectly. On one side, you've got the hindrances, things like greed, anger, laziness, that just cloud our minds. And on the other side, you have the tools to overcome them. Diligence, the ability to let go, and of course, the practice of solitude. So the path becomes really, really clear. First, you have to see the hindrances for what they are. Then you have to actively work to remove them, choosing not to get lost in distraction or materialism. This is what creates the space to truly embrace solitude and deepen your practice. And all this leads us to the ultimate goal. Once that groundwork of contentment and solitude is laid, we can finally walk the singular path that leads to enlightenment.
Sariputta calls this the middle path. It's the perfectly balanced way that avoids the extremes of, say, total indulgence and harsh asceticism. It's the path that awakens wisdom and leads directly to liberation, or nirvana.
And look, this isn't some vague, abstract idea. The middle path has a very clear, structured framework that literally anyone can follow. It's known as the Noble Eightfold Path.
And what's so remarkable is just how comprehensive this path is. It's a complete system for living, covering everything from our understanding and intentions to our speech, our actions, our work, and the training of our minds. Each part supports all the others. It's brilliant.
Okay, so let's bring this all together. We've journeyed from a simple choice about food all the way to the ultimate path of liberation. So what does it really take to become a true heir of the Dhamma?
Well, it all kind of comes down to a three-step process. It begins with transcending our attachment to material things, just like that first monk. It continues with the inner work of clearing away all those mental hindrances. And it all culminates in walking the Noble Eightfold Path with diligence and with care. This ancient teaching is just as relevant today as it was 2,500 years ago. It leaves us with a really powerful choice. not just for a lifetime, but for this very day. So the question to reflect on is this. Today, of what will you be an heir?